All right, welcome back. Hey, so today we have two very special guests on here. They have some questions we want to answer for them. So, guys, introduce yourselves real quick and tell people where you're from.
Hey, I am David.
I'm Alicia, and we're from Rotterdam,
New York.
Upstate New York, my old hometown up there. Very good. Cool. So you guys are real estate investors currently.
We are.
Yeah.
Tell people what you do for a living at your full-time jobs, or are you full-time investors now? What's the situation?
Yeah, we're still part-time investors, I guess you should say. But
I would say part-time.
I am a full-time assistant pastor at our church. I've been at 20 years.
Okay.
And I am a stay-at-home mom / homeschool teacher / real estate investor.
All right. So you've got questions. I got answers. So let's go. Let's hear the questions that you've got today that we can help you with.
Yeah, definitely. The first one is we're having trouble finding these off-market houses that that everyone says are out there, and we've tried a bunch of different methods, but we're having trouble finding them and getting it consistent.
And finding them at the right prices.
Yeah.
Well, gosh, no one has that problem.
No.
So that's obviously very common when people are looking for deals. You guys have done how many deals so far?
10.
So 10 deals you've done over the course of how many years?
About 4.
Yeah.
A little over 4. Yeah.
So let me tell you, let me ask this question. You said something in your question. You said, everybody keeps saying they're out there. Who's everybody?
People.
Do you mean people on the internet?
Yeah, well, I mean that. Some people that we network with and like local real estate groups and things like that. People are finding deals. It's the time and the effort and trying to figure out what will take less time and effort to be able to bring them in.
Right.
Possibly quicker.
So obviously there's two ways you can find deals, off-market deals, right? You can find it through spending money and having them call you, or you can go do legwork and go find them. What do you want to talk about today?
I think spending money. I think we did a lot of legwork in the beginning, and now we're just kind of wanting to keep things rolling.
Okay. So let me ask this question. The last 10 deals that you've done, how did you find them?
All different ways.
It's a mixture, yeah.
Ways.
Right. So what's the mixture?
Through some wholesalers.
Yep.
Then the last 2 were through people referrals.
Okay.
And then a couple before were through the print, the mailers that we did. We did 3 months of mailers.
So I remember having this conversation with you guys about a year or so ago, maybe 2 years ago, and you were like, I can't find a deal. I remember saying, you got to keep mailing, right? You have to keep mailing those letters out. So have you been consistent mailing your letters out?
No.
Okay. So therein lies the problem, right? So in marketing, you've got to be consistent.
Okay.
If you want to be consistent, if you want to have consistent deals, you have to market consistently. I know one of the hard things people have a tough time with is you don't want to market, have deals come in that you don't know what to do with those deals because you're already wrapped up in another deal. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I would encourage you then, as real estate investors who are fairly seasoned with 10 deals under your belt, you're going to have other exit strategies so that you can market consistently, have deals coming in, get rid of the ones you don't want, turn them into money, like wholesale them, right, to other people.
Yeah.
Or you can also give some of those leads to real estate agents who will pay you a referral fee for them. That'll help offset your marketing costs, right? Okay. So if you have deals that come in that are more full retail that can't, you know what I mean? You're not a broker, right? You're not agents or a broker.
Right. No.
So that's a way you could offset your marketing costs, but you're going to want to get back and do the marketing and then be consistent with it. Because marketing, what makes you successful as a real estate investor at your level is you've got to be consistent with your marketing. If you're not consistent with it, if you just start up and start down when you're looking for houses, you can do that. But now you see the problem that it takes time to ramp up. Right. And then you're looking for deals because, as you know, it's a numbers game. You're going to have to send out, let's say, 1,000 mailers to get, 25 responses back, to, talk to 10 people to make one offer, or whatever the math is. But that's what the math looks like when you're done, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have to do that going out there. And again, that may be one way to do it. There's other ways to do this. So when you're marketing, do you know who you're marketing to?
What was the last time?
I was going to say, I think it was seniors, out of state,
And vacant.
and vacant.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for people that are listening in right now, I want to make sure I clarify something. So when we say direct mail, we don't just randomly send out direct mail to everybody in the neighborhood. That's not what we do. We want to make sure that we are targeting a list of people that have the most potential to sell their house. So you're looking for people that are possibly motivated sellers. So you said high equity, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means people that have their mortgages paid way down. So they have equity built in the house already, which means they probably owned it for a long time, which always seems to lend itself to the fact that it probably needs work. Not always, but a lot of times it's not. If they've owned the house for 30 years, people don't always update their house on a regular basis. So there's a chance that the people that have homes need to be updated are inside that list. So that's high equity. And then you talked about another criteria. So high equity was one. What's the other one?
Vacant.
Vacant. And then
Vacant. What was the last one, Alicia?
out of state.
Out of state. So now you're doing what's called list stacking. So I want to make sure I clarify for everybody listening that this is list stacking. So you say, okay, here's a list of people that are high equity. And that means there's a chunk of people that have high equity. Then you say, I want to whittle that down and say, how about all the people that are high equity, but the house is vacant right now? Well, that's going to whittle it down more, but that's more of a motivating factor, right? And then you want to narrow it down one more and say, and by the way, let's make sure the owners are out of state because they're probably going to be the most motivated. And then once you have that list, you want to mail to it. I would tell you as your coach to mail to them on a consistent basis, even when you're not looking for a house, because that way, how long does it take you in New York to close on a house once you find it? So once you find a deal,
Months. Yeah.
2 months.
right. So if you want to be consistent, you want to have something in the hopper, because what you're feeling right now is that anxiety of saying, I don't have a deal, I have to find one. And it might take you 3 months to find one, and it's going to feel like 3 years. It's not 3 years, but it's going to feel like 3 years, right? So you want to be consistent with that. If you're going to spend money on marketing and you're going to choose direct mail as your vehicle, that's what you want to do. Get that list, be consistent with it, and then, either have an exit strategy or don't mind not taking deals when you don't want them. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Because if you're going to spend the money, like what kind of a budget do you want to spend per month on your marketing?
Well, that was kind of another question that, we're going back and forth on what percentage to put into marketing.
All right, because the last two, the first one, we spent about, 1,000, and then we upped it to 3,000.
No, the first one we spent 3,000. Last one we just spent 5,000.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're
going to say, so let me ask this question. Your profits in the last year, what would you estimate your profits in the last year to be? Last 12 months?
Well, on taxes, it was, 87,000?
I think so.
87,000. So I recommend at least 10 to 15%. You want to reinvest back in your business for marketing. That's kind of a good rule of thumb. So if you say 10 grand, then figure out how you want to do that. I want to do mailers every week. That's going to be $500 a week, or it's, whatever it might be. Take some of those profits and reinvest back in your business. Because if you don't, you're never going to have enough new leads coming in. And as investors, that's the one thing we are starving for all the time. Even my company, who's looking for, 100 leads a year, 100 deals a year, which means we have to have 1,000 leads a year, or more, or even more than that, a couple thousand leads a year. We're constantly starving for deals. And that has never changed in 20 years. I don't care what the economy is. That's never changed for me. And we're always looking for deals. That's why I was laughed when you said, people say there's deals out there. Do they? Yeah, okay. One person that finds one deal every 6 months or every year does not a real estate investor necessarily make, right? You want to do a couple deals a year. What's your goal for the year?
Probably just 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's almost one a quarter.
Right.
It's one every 4 months. So and if it takes you 2 months or 3 months, see, when you just do direct mail, you have to wait for the phone to ring. Then you're going to meet the person. Then you have to negotiate. Then you go to closing. And in New York, it takes a couple months to close. You're talking about a 3 or 4 month cycle before you find a house. So if you want to do it for a year, you have to consistently market. Does that make sense?
Right.
So that's the first question. That help?
Yeah.
I know you don't want to hear the answer, but there's no magic pill.
I know.
Right.
It's like, okay, like you're kicking yourself for it. Like, and I can make excuses, but at the end of the day, I'm like, if I want to do it, this is what I got to do.
Right. It's, I liken it to weight loss, right? So if you want to do weight loss, you have to be consistent. You can't just do it. You can't just go to the gym once every, twice a year and go, I don't know why I'm not in shape. I went to the gym twice. What's the problem?
Right.
You got to do it consistently so you have those leads coming in, and it'll keep you sharp too. It keeps your negotiating skills sharp. It keeps you sharp. So,
Right.
All right. Next
Now-
question.
Okay. Go for it.
Go for it.
What was the question?
The next question was, when you are constantly going and plugging away and not getting to the goals or, the place that you want to get, keeping your mind positive, keeping your mind, ahead, because we all get in that negative space. Okay, what are some quick, ways to get out of that and, continue to plug ahead?
That's a great question. And I will tell you that battle never changes. I don't care what level you get to. When you think, when I have this much money, I'll be better. Nope, you won't. I heard people say that long ago. Once I used to think, once I become a millionaire, I'm not going to worry about anything anymore. Nope, not true. All those worries come along with you, all those same fears, all that anxiety, all that, I'm going to lose it. It's going to happen. It's not going to work for me. Those demons continue to rise over and over and over again. And the secret to being successful is to learn how to manage and navigate that. Now, if anybody tells you they've mastered it, I don't believe them. I think it's one of the most difficult things that we do as human beings is to navigate that constant, I call them demons get thrown at you. That's what it feels like. It's constant negativity that comes at you because you see the news, you see things going on, and you start to doubt yourself. Now, you guys, it sounds like you're in a, let me say the word, rut. You feel like I haven't done a deal or you haven't locked a new deal down. When did you sell your last deal?
Last Wednesday,
but it was our longest and most intense, flip that we've done to date. And it was the longest.
Okay, so you closed on a deal last Wednesday, so it hasn't been a week and you're freaking out. Great.
No.
Now, there are people watching now going, I haven't done my first deal. What the heck? Right? So it's all about perspective.
It's all about perspective.
Right.
I know. And we went off of the year before that having like 4 deals, like back to back. So
you just said it was the biggest deal you ever did. So how much of your time did that thing consume?
A lot. A lot of our time. 8 months.
Yeah.
Okay. Just so I know, what did you make on that deal? All in.
After everything was all finalized, we made about 30,000.
Yeah.
About 30,000. Okay, so it's a big job, a lot of risks. Didn't lose money, but 30 probably doesn't feel like a huge win to you.
Right, yeah. Especially off of the deal before, where it took 4 months and we made 100,000 on it.
All right, so here's a coaching moment I want to tell you, and everybody is listening too that goes through these kind of things. Your worst day is somebody's dream day. There are people right now that are sitting out there going, I just want to flip a house and make 30 grand. And you're saying, I am so bummed because I spent 7 months doing this last till I made 30 grand. Just hear what that sounds like. Now imagine the person who's listening right now saying, I just can't wait to get my first deal. I don't know how to do it. I'm not sure where to start. And then you're saying, I just made 30 and I'm so bummed. I'm just trying to give you perspective, right?
I mean,
no, you didn't.
But I'm trying to give you perspective. So your worst day is truly someone else's ideal dream day and life goal.
Right.
And you've achieved it 10 times over because you've done 10 deals. And this is probably your worst, let's say, profit per investment an hour wage.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So you feel the hit. Now, I would just tell you that it's really important to have perspective. And as simple as this sounds, I have to do this on a regular basis. I'm sitting here right next to this. I have a journal I keep every day. It's sitting right here. This is things I wrote down today. You know what they are? Things I'm grateful for. Because I've learned that you cannot be grateful and you cannot be stressed in the same moment in time.
Right.
It's not physically possible to be grateful and stressed. Try it. If I would tell anybody out there if you are having these kind of thoughts, you have to say, be grateful. List 10 things that you're grateful for. When we're done with this call, sit down and write 10 things you're grateful for. In that time while you do that 10, you won't be stressed. The minute you're done writing, you might decide to suck back into that negative thought. But the minute you're writing it and thinking about it, you can't be. And if you focus on those things, I truly believe that we bring into our lives what we think about on a regular basis. So I know I'm oversimplifying it, but don't forget that your worst day is someone else's dream day. Just get some perspective on it. And remember, you've achieved something 10 times over that most people, you've done 10 deals and you've made well into the six figures for profits, correct?
Yeah.
You understand that other people would kill for that position?
Yeah. I mean, even just us 4 years ago would have never thought it was possible.
So I think that's important to keep that perspective while you're going through. I will tell you this, real estate investing is one of the hardest mental games out there to play. And it's why so many people start and then fail, because they start and they get beat up, they get knocked down, and they don't know how to get back up. And so if you can navigate the ups and downs of real estate investing, it will have truly the greatest financial outcome and the greatest life outcome because of who you become in the process. You know, if you've done 10 deals, you know who you started to be. Look who you were 4 years ago and who you are today.
Yeah.
Look at the skills you have today, the confidence you have today, the things you probably have in your life that you didn't have 4 years ago because of real estate investing. And now you have a skill that probably your family is involved with, and they watching mom and dad do this stuff. You're an inspiration to them, right? So you've made a huge change in your life. So remember that it's so worth it. You've heard me say this for years. What we do is not easy, but it is worth it. So keep that in mind. Always, I would tell you one last thing as a coach. When you're having these moments, be grateful. Look at your worst day, understand somebody else's best day, and just never forget why you're doing it in the first place. It might be time to revisit that and say, why am I really doing this? What drives me? And I'm speaking from experience because I go for big goals in my life, and I have to go back and revisit my whys. Just this morning, I went back and looked at I keep my goals year after year, and I'm going back, and I actually wrote a note and said, need to make some adjustments here because I missed a bunch of goals. So I'm like, So I have to make some adjustments. So I have to go back and look at those things over and over again and say, what is driving me now? What's my true passion? And honestly, right now, my passion is to help people like you get to a great place in life financially through real estate investing. That's a passion for me. It always has been. And so that's what drives me because I never had that kind of help when I first got started. So that's what drives me. My team says every time you coach people, you get into it, you find another gear. You go in, you just become this person where you just start doing it because it's my inspiration. But that's my why now, as opposed to, hey, I want to be financially independent. Does that make sense? So dig in and find your why, what drives you, and then you know what to do.
Right.
This is not like hey, I'm brand new and green, don't know what to do. You know what to do. You've done it. Now I'm just reminding you that you know what to do and saying, look in the mirror, write it down, think about it, think about where you've come from, get some perspective, be grateful, and go for it.
All right.
Awesome.
How about any more questions? Any more? I got time for one more if you got one.
I mean, it kind of goes with what we were talking about, but when we're trying to decide like how to kind of start to outsource some of the work that we're doing, it's just, kind of coming up short on, okay, so different people have talked about how you can pay commission-based, how you can scale that way without having to put money out of pocket right away until deals come in. But all of that is all new to us. So, you kind of freeze sometimes when there's things that are new and you're just not sure about it.
So are you asking about scaling your business?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So you're saying, I want to scale my business. So I would tell you this, before we scale, we have to have consistent deal flow. Mm-hmm. Right? We have to have consistent deal flow. And I would say that what Amber and I did, the first hire that we made that allowed us to start scaling was an administrative assistant. She came to our condo and every day from 10 to 2. Came to our condo and nowadays they can do it from their own home, but that was just what we did back then. And so back then, 20 years ago, she came to our condo and for 10 to 2, did all my paperwork, did all my contractor estimates, did all my book work. She would go out and clean out houses if I needed her to, all that miscellaneous stuff that takes time. Because when you start to scale, you have to always ask yourself, what is the most valuable use of my time? And your time is to go out and find $50,000, $80,000 profit deals. That's your job, right? The highest use of your money, or I'm sorry, it's the highest use of your time is to go out and find deals. Because you finding deals will fund the rest of your business and even fund a part-time assistant. And I would say you start with an administrative assistant. You'll have to give up some control. Sometimes people have a problem with that, but you'll have to do that if you want to scale a bit. That's a whole different. You guys have to work that out between you. So, but that's part of it. Amber had the same problem. I'm like, no, I want to sub it out. I can do it all. I said, you're not Superwoman. You can't do it all. So we had to have that conversation. Good luck, David. So we had to have that conversation early on. But if you want to scale, my advice to you is get your deal flow coming in first, then start looking at administrative assistant to help you field calls, pre-qualify leads, right? Simple things like that. Yeah. And then that way you're spending your time looking at houses and doing what you have to do, making offers. And then if you're doing that, you'll start to figure out, hey, how do I wholesale a deal every now and again? Like if you're in a spot where you don't want to, like you're in the middle of a flip and you don't want to flip another one right now, maybe you're not comfortable doing two at once for whatever reason, which you could do. But let's just say you don't want to. Yeah. You could wholesale that deal if you bought it cheap enough to some other investor in the area, right? Who might be my company up there, right? I know I'm 1,000 miles away, but that's, we're in the same neighborhood. So that could happen. So just keep that in mind that start with revenue and volume. And once you have a little bit of consistency, so you do a few deals a year, then it's time to start saying, how do I scale? You're already outsourcing. You didn't swing a hammer on your last deal, did you? Much?
Right. Yeah, no.
Okay, so you're already outsourcing. You already know how to outsource contractors. What you're really asking me is, how do I outsource the business side of my business?
Right.
So you already have the skill of outsourcing. Now it's just a matter of how do you outsource to administrative and marketing type people and sales type people. First person I hired was the administrative assistant. The second person I hired was an agent to go out and run the deals and close the deals for me. That was the order that I did it that worked the best for me.
Sure.
Okay.
Make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. All right. That's a little advanced. People are just getting started out there, but that gives people an idea of what scaling is all about, how they go from one to a lot more. So, all right. Well, hopefully you found today helpful.
That's very. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, cool. We'll have you back on soon and give us some updates.
All right. Awesome. Sounds good.
Okay. See you guys.
All right. See you later.
So today we met with David and Alicia King, who are existing investors who have 9 deals under their belt, and they had some questions we wanted to cover. I want to go ahead and recap them with you here today. So they were struggling with deal flow. They're on a spot right now where they just sold a house on Tuesday. Kind of funny, right? On Tuesday, and they don't have the next deal in the hopper, so they're getting very nervous about that. So I recommended that they're not being consistent in their efforts. So if you're finding that you're trying to bring more deals in, you've got to be consistent in your efforts, because consistency brings consistent deal flow. If you start and stop your marketing, right, and you stop and start your networking based on one deal that you're doing at a time, you'll never really create momentum in your business. You want to have deals in the hopper so you don't take your foot off the accelerator. Most people sometimes get very nervous and say, but I don't know what to do with that deal. That's a good problem to have. If you have more leads and more potential deals than you have time to do, there are other people that will buy those deals from you at a significant profit. That's called wholesaling. And that's what I want to recommend that you do if you start to have more leads than you can handle or that you're comfortable doing. Everyone has a risk tolerance level, and your risk tolerance level, maybe I just want to do one deal at a time. Totally fine. Totally fine. So you can sell other deals off. But you want to have that momentum to keep leads coming in. You want to, again, figure out how to disposition all those deals that come in. I recommended to the Kings that they reinvest 10%, I'd say 10 to 15% or more of the profit they make back into their business for marketing. Again, if you want to have a business that brings in consistent leads, you're going to have to invest money or time. There's 2 ways to make the phone ring, money or time. If you're somebody who's already busy with a life and you're doing your investment business on the side, you don't have a lot of extra time to drive around, knock on doors, and build those networking relationships, well, then you have to spend money. And I recommend that you spend money on direct mail. That's the easiest, simple lift. And that's how you get the fastest return on your investment. And lastly, we talked about how to make sure that they stay grateful through the good times and the bad times. Because as a real estate investor, you have ups, you have downs. Listen, just because you're a real estate investor doesn't mean that life doesn't have all the same ups and downs. It still happens in real estate. Matter of fact, sometimes it's worse because you're dealing with big numbers and goals and dreams, and there's a lot going on a regular basis. So it's really easy to get sucked back into the, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this. I feel overwhelmed today. I don't feel positive about my situation. And I said this before to them, and I want to make sure that you remember this. A lot of people, like even you, your worst day, whether you're a real estate investor now or not, your worst day is somebody else's dream day. You may say to yourself, well, that's not true. I'd be willing to bet if you're in America, listen to this right now, you're one of the wealthiest nations in the world, and you're already living in the top 5% of people in the entire world. Some of people just want to have food today. So if you're eating food today, your worst day might be their dream day. Don't forget about that and be grateful, because when you're grateful, you can't be grateful and nervous and scared and have lack in your mind at the same time. It's not possible. So practice being grateful, and that'll help you get through the tough times, because in real estate, you've got good and bad and good and bad and good and bad. At the end of the day, you're always trending up, but it takes a journey to get there. All right. If you enjoyed today's session and you have any questions about real estate and you want to know how to get started, you want to know how to go to the next step, you want to say, listen, I'm stuck on this very specific granular thing in my business, and it might be I'm terrified to get started, Glenn. I'm not sure what to do. Or it might be I have a lead. I don't even know what to say to this person. Or I want to offer this much money and I don't know what do I even say to the person? What kind of paperwork do I use? Whatever the question is, if you want to just put it in the comments below, my team will reach out to you, schedule a time to get on our upcoming call. And I would love to personally mentor you through your challenge and help you get to the other side. All right. Thanks a lot for watching today.